buddy. You're definitely in the wrong neighborhood. The soup kitchen is 5 blocks down. Keep moving. Good morning, son. I'm not looking for a kitchen. I actually have a reservation here. Look, Pops, let's be real. A night here costs more than you've probably made in your life. Just walk away before I kick you out.
It was exactly 10 a.m. on a crisp Tuesday morning. The Grand Obsidian Hotel, the crown jewel of the city's skyline, stood tall and imposing. It was a place where senators, celebrities, and oil tycoons stayed. The driveway was usually lined with Lamborghinis and limousines. But today, walking slowly up the marble steps, was a man who looked like he had lost everything. His name was Arthur. He wore a faded, oversized trench coat that had seen better days, and scuffed work boots. In his trembling hand, he clutched a worn-out canvas duffel bag. As Arthur approached the golden revolving doors, the head of security, a burly man named Brock, stepped directly in his path. Brock crossed his massive arms, his sunglasses hiding a look of disdain. He grunted, "Whoa there, buddy. You're definitely in the wrong neighborhood. The soup kitchen is 5 blocks down on 4th Street. Keep moving." Arthur looked up, adjusting his glasses, and offered a gentle, polite smile. "Good morning, son. I'm not looking for a kitchen. I actually have a reservation here. I just needed to speak with the front desk." Brock let out a loud, mocking laugh, turning to his partner. "Did you hear that? This guy says he has a reservation at the Grand Obsidian." He turned back to Arthur, his face hardening. "Look, Pops, let's be real. A night here costs more than you've probably made in your life. Don't make me escort you off the property. Just walk away." Inside the lobby, standing behind the pristine Italian marble counter, was Jessica. She was the head concierge, immaculate in her uniform, but her eyes were cold. She had been watching the scene unfold through the glass doors. As Arthur managed to slip past the distracted guard and approach the desk, Jessica didn't even look up from her computer screen. She began typing aggressively, pretending to be busy. Arthur cleared his throat softly and said, "Excuse me, miss?" Jessica finally looked up, scanning him from his messy gray hair to his muddy boots. She offered a tight, fake smile, the kind that says, "Get lost," without using words. "Sir," she said, her voice dripping with condescension, "I don't know how you got past security, but I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This is a private establishment for high-profile guests. We don't allow loitering." Arthur remained calm. "I understand what it looks like, miss, but if you could just check the system. My name is Arthur. I believe there is a booking." Jessica rolled her eyes, sighing loudly. "Sir, checking the system takes time, and I have paying VIPs arriving any minute. I can't have you standing here ruining the aesthetic of the lobby. If you want to wait, go sit in the corner over there, way in the back." Arthur nodded slowly. "Thank you. I'll wait." He shuffled over to a secluded corner of the lobby and sat on a velvet armchair. He placed his canvas bag on the floor and rested his hands on his walking cane. The lobby was buzzing with wealthy elites. Men in 3-piece suits and women carrying designer purses began to whisper. One woman whispered loudly to her husband, "Is this place letting homeless people in now?" Her husband replied, "It's ridiculous. I paid $2,000 a night for exclusivity, not to smell wet dog. Security is slipping." Arthur heard every word. He saw the fingers pointing at him, but he didn't react. He sat with the stillness of a statue, his eyes observing everything. About 30 minutes passed. Jessica walked by the waiting area talking to another staff member. She said, "I don't know where the manager, Mr. Sterling, is, but once he sees this guy, he's going to flip. It's bad for the brand image." Her colleague laughed and replied, "Don't worry, he'll get hungry and leave eventually." Arthur checked his old analog wristwatch. He had been patient. He stood up, his joints popping, and walked back toward the desk. "Miss," he said softly, "if you are too busy, could you perhaps call the general manager? I really need to speak with him about some important details regarding the hotel." Jessica slammed her pen down. "You want to see Mr. Sterling? The Marcus Sterling? You think a man who runs a multi-million-dollar empire has time to chat with you?" She picked up the phone, dialing the manager's office. "Mr. Sterling, I'm so sorry to bother you. There is a transient man in the lobby who refuses to leave. He's demanding to see you." From his penthouse office, Marcus Sterling looked down at the security feed on his iPad. He was a young, arrogant man who had inherited his position through nepotism. He laughed into the phone. Is he a guest? No? Then why is he still there? Just let him sit until he gets bored. I'm in the middle of a conference call with investors from Tokyo. I don't have time for charity cases. Jessica hung up and smirked at Arthur. Mr. Sterling is extremely busy making important decisions. He says you can wait, but honestly, you're wasting your time. Arthur took a deep breath. I see. I will wait a little longer. He returned to his chair. The isolation was palpable. He was invisible to them as a human being, visible only as a nuisance. Suddenly, a young man named Leo approached him. Leo was a bellman, barely 20 years old, working 2 jobs to pay for community college. While the rest of the staff mocked Arthur, Leo felt a pang of sadness. He grabbed a bottle of premium sparkling water from the courtesy cart and a fresh green apple. He knelt down beside Arthur's chair. "Excuse me, sir," Leo said, his voice kind. "I know you've been waiting a while. You must be thirsty. Here." Arthur looked at the young man, surprised by the sudden warmth. "Thank you, son. But won't you get in trouble? I'm not exactly the hotel's favorite person right now." Leo shrugged, smiling. "My mom always taught me that kindness doesn't cost a dime. Plus, everyone deserves a drink of water. Are you okay? Do you need me to check on your reservation for you?" Arthur smiled, a genuine grandfatherly smile. "You are a good man, Leo. I'm waiting for Mr. Sterling, but he seems to be avoiding me." Leo sighed, looking toward the manager's office. "Yeah, Mr. Sterling. He's a difficult guy. He cares a lot about the bottom line, not so much about people. But don't let them get to you, sir. You have just as much right to be here as anyone else." Arthur patted Leo's hand. "Thank you, Leo. I won't forget this." Leo went back to work, but the interaction didn't go unnoticed. Marcus Sterling had just walked into the lobby. He saw his bellman talking to the tramp. Marcus stormed over, his expensive leather shoes clicking on the floor. He ignored Arthur completely and turned on Leo. "Leo, what do you think you're doing? We are running a 5-star establishment, not a shelter. Stop fraternizing with loiterers and get those bags to room 405 now." Leo looked down, humiliated. "Yes, Mr. Sterling. Sorry, sir." As Leo hurried away, Arthur stood up. His patience had finally run out. He tapped his cane on the floor, the sound echoing slightly. "Mr. Sterling?" Arthur said, his voice surprisingly deep and commanding. Marcus turned around, looking at Arthur as if he were a stain on his suit. "Listen, pal, I don't know what scam you're running, but I'm done playing nice. Get out of my hotel before I have the police remove you for trespassing." Arthur reached into his canvas bag and pulled out a thick manila envelope. "I am not here to scam you, Marcus. I brought some documents regarding the ownership structure of this building. I suggest you take a look." Marcus laughed, a cruel, barking sound. He snatched the envelope from Arthur's hand and, without even opening it, tossed it into a nearby trash can. "I don't need to read your garbage," Marcus sneered. "I know exactly who you are. You're a nobody, and this hotel is for winners, people with power, people with money. You have none of those things. Now, get out." The lobby fell silent. Guests watched, amused. Arthur looked at the trash can, then back at Marcus. "You judge a man by his coat, Marcus. That is a dangerous mistake in business," Arthur said quietly. "I will leave, but remember this moment. You might regret it." Arthur picked up his bag and walked out. The automatic doors slid shut behind him. Jessica smirked from the desk, saying, "Finally, what a creep." Marcus muttered, "Good riddance. Leo, empty that trash can. I don't want his germs in my lobby." Marcus went back to his office, but Leo, the young bellman, walked over to the trash can. He retrieved the envelope. His curiosity got the best of him. He felt the weight of it. It didn't feel like trash. Leo went into the luggage storage room and opened the envelope. Inside were legal documents, deeds, stock certificates, and a copy of the original incorporation papers of Obsidian Hospitality Group. Leo's eyes widened. He scanned the name at the top of the documents, Arthur J. Pendleton, founder and chairman. Leo rushed to the employee computer terminal. He typed in the name. His jaw dropped. The screen displayed a profile, Arthur Pendleton, net worth $4.2 billion, majority shareholder of the Obsidian Group, known for his reclusive nature and secret shopper inspections. "Oh my God," Leo whispered. "He owns the whole place." Leo ran toward the manager's office, clutching the papers. He burst in without knocking. "Mr. Sterling, you have to see this." Marcus spun around in his chair. "Leo, you're fired. Get out." "No, sir. Listen. That man, Arthur, he's not homeless. Look at these." Leo slammed the papers on the desk. "He's the chairman. He owns 65% of the company. He's your boss's boss." Marcus froze. The color drained from his face. He looked at the papers. His hands started to shake. That's impossible. He looked like a bum. He was testing us. Leo realized the truth, and we failed badly. The rest of the day was a blur of panic for the management, but it was too late. The next morning, the atmosphere outside the hotel was different. 3 black SUVs pulled up to the curb. Security tried to approach, but men in dark suits with earpieces stepped out, forming a perimeter. From the middle vehicle, Arthur stepped out. This time, he wasn't wearing the trench coat. He was wearing a bespoke navy blue suit, a silk tie, and a watch that cost more than a house. He walked with purpose, flanked by lawyers and corporate executives. He walked through the revolving doors. The lobby went deadly silent. Jessica dropped her phone. Brock, the security guard, swallowed hard, stepping back against the wall. Marcus Sterling came running out of his office, sweating profusely. He forced a terrified smile. "Mr. Pendleton, sir, what a pleasant surprise. We didn't know it was you yesterday. If we had known." Arthur held up a hand, silencing him instantly. The gesture was small, but the authority was absolute. "If you had known, Marcus," Arthur said, his voice echoing in the large hall. "That is the problem. You treat people well only when you think they can do something for you. That is not hospitality. That is opportunism." Arthur turned to his legal team. "Read the order." One of the lawyers stepped forward. "Effective immediately, Marcus Sterling is relieved of his duties as general manager due to conduct violating the core values of the Obsidian Group. You are to clear your desk and vacate the premises within the hour." Marcus slumped, looking like he was about to faint. "But, sir, I can explain." "There is nothing to explain," Arthur said coldly. Then he turned his gaze to the front desk. Jessica looked down, trembling. "And the front desk staff will be undergoing a mandatory 3-month retraining program on basic human empathy. If you fail, you are out." Finally, Arthur looked around the room until he found Leo. The young bellman was standing by the luggage cart, looking nervous. Arthur's face softened. He walked over to Leo and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Everyone, listen to me," Arthur announced to the entire lobby, guests and staff alike. "Yesterday, when I was nothing but a tired old man in dirty clothes, only one person in this entire building treated me like a human being. He didn't know who I was. He didn't want anything from me. He just saw a person who needed water." Arthur looked at Leo. "Leo, do you have a business degree?" "No, sir," he stammered. "I'm studying for it now. I can't afford full-time classes yet." "You can now," Arthur smiled. "The company will be paying for your education, and effective today, you are no longer a bellman. You are now the junior director of guest experience. You will teach this staff how to treat people." Leo's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, sir. Thank you so much." Arthur turned back to the room. "Let this be a lesson to everyone here. Money buys buildings, it buys suits, it buys power, but it cannot buy class. True class is how you treat people who can do absolutely nothing for you." As Arthur walked toward the elevators to inspect his hotel, the guests, the same ones who had whispered about him the day before, broke into applause. Marcus was escorted out by security carrying a cardboard box, while Leo stood tall, ready to start his new life. Friends, remember this story. The world is full of people pretending to be important, and important people pretending to be nobody. Never look down on anyone, because you never know who you are actually talking to. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that touch the heart. Thanks for watching.